From Atlanta, Georgia, welcome to Fearfully and Wonderfully Me, a podcast for women on leadership and life skills with Rhea Story. Rhea shares powerful life and leadership principles, helping you maximize your potential and become the woman God created you to be.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fearfully and Wonderfully Me, a leadership and life skills podcast designed to help you become the woman God created you to be. Today, we're talking about leadership gems for women and the chapter on positivity. And if you've been following my podcast for any length of time, you know that being positive and having a positive attitude is one of the big things that I talk about, because every single one of us are challenged to do this. And our influence with other people is increased when we are positive. I should say our influence with positive people is increased when we are positive. And it's pretty much just a fact that we don't increase our influence with other people very much when things are going right and we're positive. Like, everyone pretty much expects us to be positive when things are going very well for us. It's when things are not going well for us and we're facing problems, we're facing trials, we're facing the seasons of life of adversity, and then we choose to be positive. That's when we increase our influence with everyone who's watching. Positive-minded people, of course. Zig Ziglar said that positive thinking will let you do everything better than negative thinking will. And the reason is, I even talked about this not just in Leadership Gems for Women, but I also talked about it in my book, Achieve, Maximizing Your Potential with 7 Keys to Success and Significance, because positive thinking gives us perspective. It creates possibilities. Positive thinking just is that shift in mindset that doesn't say I'm going to ignore my problems. It just says I'm going to choose a positive response to my problems. And, we talked about being proactive. It's important to be proactive. The choice to be positive isn't just important for women as leaders. It's also important as people, because the value of positive thinking and the effect it has cannot be overstated. But trying to remain positive in everything, little things, big things, upsetting things, frustrating things, sad things, hurtful things, it can be a challenge. There's no doubt, things happen and they hurt or they upset us, or we're going through a season of adversity, and it's difficult sometimes to be proactive and positive. And our obstacles and problems are real. There have been and there always will be situations that you cannot control. But what you always control is your mental stance, or your decision to see the positive in a situation. A positive mental stance creates positive results. Now, you can intentionally create more positivity in your relationships, at work, at home, in your family, and in your life. And when you're positive, you inspire hope in others. The people who are positive around us inspire us, and they have more influence with us. So, thinking about that, I was talking recently with a friend, and we've known each other. We kind of knew each other when we were growing up, and so we've hadn't seen her in several years, really. But it was interesting and it was rewarding, or a blessing, really, to be able to spend the afternoon with her recently. And we were sitting there, and she has 4 small little ones and one on the way. And we were sitting there talking, and she said, I was asking her, I was like, how do you manage with, all of the kids and all the things that need to be done? And she said, it's just such a blessing. She's like, I knew that life would be more complete with our big family. So what we were talking about, though, is motherhood is a season for her. And she's in that season of motherhood. And, life is full of seasons, but she had a really insightful perspective that I'll share with you. We're talking about the season she's in now of motherhood. And she said, you know what? That's exactly right. It is a season, and I'm just embracing it and enjoying it. She said, if we consider the relative impermanence of any situation, it makes it easier to understand it and have a good perspective. And I love that because so much of the time we get stuck on our situation and we feel like it's going to be forever. And so then we start swirling around in the negative. We start focusing on the negative. But when we realize that life is full of changes and life is always changing and it is relatively impermanent, and it makes it easier to remember that life is full of seasons. And so when you're in that job that you don't really love, remember what you're working for. Remember what you're working toward. Maybe you're going through a season of personal adversity. Maybe you're going through some health challenges. Realizing that life is relatively impermanent and this too shall pass. So keeping that perspective in mind, here are 3 ways that I like to think about we can intentionally choose to be positive. And there's always opportunity to be more positive. Consider what you say, how you think, what you worry about, or what you decide not to worry about, because most of our worry is unfounded. So start by choosing intentionally to be more positive in these 3 areas. Number 1, your thoughts. Every morning when I wake up, one of the first things I think about is what opportunities are coming my way today. And regardless of what's on your agenda, you know, you can think about it as I have to go to work today. It's Monday. Or you can think, wow, I get to go to work today. I'm so blessed to have a job. Now, it's the same job. What's different is your mental stance. I get to or I have to is completely different in your thinking. What's different is your attitude and perspective. And so catch yourself as you're thinking your thoughts to yourselves, because our thoughts are so powerful, because our thoughts determine our feelings. So catch yourself in your thinking, because that's really where it starts. And then words, number 2. Get rid of negative phrases from your vocabulary, and all of them. Like, focus on just try it. Try it for 30 days. And every time you catch yourself saying something negative, get rid of it. Remove any phrases like I can't, or I have to, or I'm afraid of. And it may seem small, but like Norman Vincent Peale said, mighty oaks grow from little acorns. So catch yourself in any of those negative phrases and words in your vocabulary. And number 3, last but not least, if you want to focus on being more positive, take positive actions. If you want more positivity in your life, read positive books, watch inspirational movies, talk to positive people, volunteer to help someone. If something is a negative influence in your life, minimize it. It's not serving you. Sometimes that means changing our physical circumstances or environment. Maybe it's changing your job or even the people around you. Maybe it's your friends. If you have negative friends in your life, you can still love them, but don't have to spend a lot of time with them. And it doesn't mean that you're better than anyone. It just means that they're not healthy for you. They're toxic for you. If that's a negative friendship, then it's pulling you down. Then maybe it's just time to say that doesn't have a big place in my life. So take positive actions. There's so much that we can do intentionally. I remember quite a few years ago, there was kind of a popular slogan of WWJD, what would Jesus do? And, it was really a movement for Christians to think about what would Jesus do? How would Jesus react? And so I love to think about what would a positive person do in this circumstance, in this environment? What would a positive person do? And, when you catch yourself swirling in that negativity, take a step back, pause, and choose to be positive. You will be amazed at how different life can feel and look and be when you start to choose a positive mental stance. Start embracing the positive thoughts, words, and actions. And, these are small changes that create big results. Because it changes our course, even by a few degrees, but over time, we end up somewhere completely different. And I love that. It's the power of positivity that creates possibilities and opportunities and perspectives. Until next time.
Start increasing your influence and maximizing your potential with Ria's audiobooks. Available at audible.com, amazon.com, and iBooks. Please visit riastory.com to learn about Ria's books, resources, speaking, and training programs. Thanks for listening.